prospectus if you're trying to sell them an investment. Then you have to wait 3 days. Give them an opportunity to read it. Then you call them back up and say, hey, what do you think of the prospectus I gave you? Is this something that might interest you in investing in? And then you can take their money and write a contract. But you got to wait that 3-day rescission period, right? I'm just going to write this up and leave it. But 72, 30, 15, 10, Judgment Day. That should be on all your bathroom mirrors in lipstick until you got it down so well that you can pull it out at any given moment. It's just part of your vocabulary. 72, 30, 15, 10, Judgment Day. It's banking law, standard banking practices. You've got a 72-hour right to rescind any contract. What is a traffic ticket? It's an offer to contract with a private for-profit corporation. You get 72 hours to rescission that contract or not sign it. If they force you to sign it, your new name is under duress. Your first name is under, and your last name is duress. And that's how you sign it.
Amen.
If you're forced to. Most of the time, they don't even make you. Go ahead.
Can I tell them a brand new thought that came, an epiphany? I was in.
This just came to your mind? Take your mic away.
It has to do with getting pulled over. I was in Office Max, and I saw a whole package of invoices. And I thought, okay, this is a perfect opportunity for me to hand them a bill, right? A true bill, and sign it and charge them when they pull me over. Of course, I don't get pulled over because they always know who I am somehow. I don't know, maybe they recognize
Because
me.
you drive like a grandma.
I know, I don't like to have interface with law enforcement because I wind up getting a little snippy with them. But, you know, you can hand them a bill to say, oh, by the way, you just violated penal code in Texas 39.03 and 39.02. I'm not operating in commerce. You just, it's an abuse of office, official oppression, and here's my bill. And hand them a $25,000 bill, and they're handing you a $250 bill. Why not? They want to operate in commerce, we're going to operate in commerce. I'm going to charge you for pulling me over.
Thanks for that comment. Take your mic away for a minute.
I thought it was a brilliant idea, and I'm going to use it if they pull me over.
There's an off switch. She's getting me off subject now. Stop! All right. International Securities Licensing Identification Number. And then the bonds, somebody from, usually from Bear Stearns or some other brokerage house, comes by the courthouse about 5:30. And since the court, if you look in a legal dictionary, a court says, if you look up the word court in a legal dictionary, it says see bank, see post office. The way Benjamin Franklin set up our whole banking structure back in the day, and I got a beautiful little book that I picked up in Philadelphia at the Treasury about our first banking system of the United States. And it talks all about the post office. The post office was our first banking system. And they combined with our justice system with our courts, and all courts are post offices. If you go back to our older cities like New York and Boston, Chicago, even Texarkana, the courthouse says court, bank, post office. Carved in marble, right on the side of the building, because that's what they are. So if you look it up in the legal dictionary, under court, it says see bank, see post office. You look up the word judge, it says see banker, see postmaster. That makes it pretty simple. So somebody from a brokerage comes by, and they pick up from the largest bank in town. Isn't the court always bigger than the Wells Fargo branch? Bigger than the U.S. Bank branch? Bigger than the Bank of Texas or any other bank? The courthouse is always the biggest bank in the county. And they come by and they pick up the bonds that are created, and then the next day, they sell them on Wall Street. And the bond market is 10,000 times larger than the stock market. For every 1,000 points in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, that represents approximately $1 trillion in our economy in the top 100 companies. That's what those companies are worth. So if our stock market is at 30,000, that's $30 trillion is what the top 100 companies are worth. See? The bond market is 10,000 times larger. Now, why is that? Well, I'll just use Texas for a minute. Texas has their DMV. It's called the Department of Public Safety, DPS. That's their DMV. And they have, according to DMV, approximately 25 million licensed drivers in Texas. 25 million licensed drivers in Texas. Every one of those 25 million people who carry a driver's license in their pocket, that's a $10,000 bond just because they went in and applied. That's why it's got a CUSIP number on the driver's license. Your driver's license number is a CUSIP number, an investment control number. And it's got a $10,000 bond. The average driver in Texas owns just over 2 cars. It's like 2.17 cars, average. Some people own 4 cars. Some people own 1 car. Some drivers don't even own a car. But it averages a little over 2. We're just going to round it down to 2. Each registered vehicle in Texas, for every year that it's registered, has a $10,000 bond to the state of Texas. Every year. So, $10,000 for the license, $10,000 for the first car, $10,000 for the second car. That's $30,000 in bonds per licensed driver, times 25 million is how much? Well, it's 75 million, but you can just say a lot. I don't care what the number is. It's a lot. Is it 75 million? I lied to you to see if what reaction you'd get. There you go, add some zeros. Add 5 zeros. Every year. It's a budget of the Department of Public Safety. Everything is about the bond market. Everything you do, every action they create, every cause. And they take you, the man or the woman, out of it. How do they do that? How do they take you out of it? The story of a mother. I was waiting for somebody to say that. They take you out of it through the story of a mother. What does that mean? Well, between 1905 and 1935, in that 30-year period, 3 decades, a series of acts of Congress took place which created a system of fraud. The only reason it's fraud is because there was no full and honest disclosure of the terms and conditions. They did it over 3 decades and put it into place. They didn't just write a manual and say, here, let's teach this to everybody in their schools and make them a part of it and disclose everything. They didn't do that. The government tends to hide something over here and hide something over here and hide something over here and hide something over here, knowing you won't put all the pieces of the puzzle together. There's roughly 275,000 books of law in this country. Over 2 billion codes and statutes. How on earth are you expected to follow? You can't. It's your girlfriend's. Huh? You're exactly right. It's because none of those statutes are law. Not one. Law is done in stages. These bonds are sold on Wall Street. They're invested into municipal bonds and prison bonds and all kinds of different things. But they're sold on Wall Street. And the number one purchaser over the last 3 decades has been the Chinese and the Japanese. Chinese and the Japanese buy the vast majority of the bonds and invest in this country. I just got a report from a county in Utah, and out of the last 1,000 property transfers, more than 100 of them was purchased by one Chinese family. And they purchased them, some in the husband's name, some in the wife's name, and some in their foundation name. And it's all the same family because their foundation tells the family name. 10% of all the property transactions in that county sold to one Chinese family. How long is it going to take before they own the country? They already put a police station in New York. They're building one right now in Salt Lake City. A Chinese police station manned by the Chinese Communist Party. They're flying the Chinese flag in front of them. The one in New York is too. I don't know if you find that disturbing or not, but I do. You tell me. I mean, for me to decide, my job is just to let you know about it. It's all your job is to decide what we're going to do about it. I'm going to let you guys in on something. And I'm going to take you back in history. I'm going to take you back before the Declaration of Independence. I'm going to take you back to 1775. In 1775, the United States Code of Military Justice was put into place, the UCMJ. In 1775, the Grand Army of the Republic was put into place, our United States Army. 60 days later, the United States Navy was put into place. 30 days after that, the United States Marines were put into place. The number one general in the United States in 1775 was General George Washington. This is a year before the Declaration of Independence. We were under military occupation, military rule. Lincoln just reconfirmed that in 1861. But when President Trump and, dare I say, Q, told you the military is the only way, the military is in charge, this country has always been under the fourth pillar, the General George Washington Monument, that obelisk. He was a 34th level Mason. This country's always been under military rule. And I can show you where in the law that the people of the United States of America have never voted for a president. In fact, it's against the law for them to. Yet we've been holding elections for a very, very, very long time. And the only thing the voter fraud confirms is they put into place who they want in place, not who actually was voted